Probably more discomfort than usual today. But we'll be fine. Hopefully. Probably. Most likely. We're live. I don't know when the live stream started. Probably in the middle of one of my sentences. Welcome everybody. Hello. What we're doing today is, first and foremost, I'm going to select the sword here. I'm going to at least try to select the sword and disable it. What we're going to be doing is we're going to make, first and foremost, some animations. And once those animations have been made, if we still have time left, which I assume that we will, we'll do a little bit of coding regarding the special ability for this weapon. And maybe just hang out, have a little bit of fun. We'll see. Let me finish off my energy drink, which I called a Red Bull before. That's just like calling Kleenex, that kind of stuff. It's not even a Red Bull, it's like store brand. Because it's literally like a third of the price and only like 10% less caffeine. It tastes like shit, but so does Red Bull. So unless Red Bull wants to sponsor me, in which case Red Bull is the most amazing taste ever. You have no idea how good it tastes. Anyway, let's get started with this animation shit, shall we? Animation. So what I'm going to do here is, because the animations are going to be relatively similar to, I'll just show you actually, if I can, that is. I've already got these sword attack animations. And the attacks for the... oh, also, if you're not in the Discord, you're going to be very confused by the fact that this is a thing now. Yeah, I have weapon switching implemented now. So I can switch my weapons around, and after a little while... that's actually a very good point. When I switch weapons, it doesn't set a timer to make them disappear. Anyway, at the moment, the scythe just uses the same animations as the sword and the same abilities. Of course, it's going to have to be different, but I can still use those animations as a base to make the new animations of, because the larger movements are going to be the same. It's mostly going to be the timing and more subtle differences that will make the animations different. So what we'll do is not this one. Sword attack. Let's start with sword attack 1. And we're simply going to duplicate that and call this scythe attack 1. And we can open that up. And then we can see we have the scythe attack right here. Actually, the scythe attack 1 is not going to be that one, because the first attack should be the other way around. The first attack should definitely have like this part of the blade, like the inner part of the blade being the thing that hits the enemies, because that's kind of how a scythe works. The fact that the other attack is going to not have that, because it's going to be right to left and then left to right, is kind of annoying as it is, but kind of just have to deal with that, to be honest with you. Because we can't just do the same direction over and over and over again. That's not going to look very good either. Scythe attack 1. Let's try again. Anyway, how is everybody doing this fine Friday? So this should now have the wind up there, and then... Okay, we definitely need to do a couple of things different, because first and foremost, this thing clipping through the ground. And an important thing here is that these attacks definitely need to be a fair bit slower than the sword attacks. The sword is the base weapon, right? You start the game with that, and then the other weapons you unlock all will have upsides and downsides. And most of the weapons are going to be slower than the swords. Because they're going to be more powerful as well. And so will this one, because it also has like a bigger reach and that kind of stuff. So part of the downside of that will be that the wind-up animations for those weapons have to be longer. So there's more of a chance of you getting hit while you're trying to attack. So let's get started with that. We can kind of just keep the wind up the same, but instead just make this last 11 frames instead. So that's actually not half bad. Not gonna lie. We might be able to get away with just reusing animations to a certain degree. Obviously, we need to do something about the fact that it clips through the ground there. And what we're going to do about that is make this keyframe over here. It's a very good question. What are we going to do about that, actually? It's I guess we'll figure that out. What I'm thinking is make this up a little higher as is. We can't really do too much with the elbow joint because it's going to look real weird. But we can make you a little bit more like that. And that kind of fixes it already. Now, the other thing is that this scythe is pointing like in a very weird angle. So we definitely need to look at that. We want it to be a little bit more like this. But we also can't really do too much with the wrist in a weird angle. Hello everybody joining in. Okay, so now my caffeine is all ingested, so I should be good for a couple of hours to go. Let's take a look at what this feels like. Like we correct the... I mean, that is an improvement. That seems like an improvement. The timings definitely need to be probably a bit slower, but timing is the last thing that we need to care about. That's actually a pretty good start, not gonna lie. That's actually pretty good. Okay, let's take a look at the timing. So we have maybe like this being half a second. This is a 30 FPS timeline, right? Yes, it is. So half a second of wind up might actually not be that bad an idea here. So we have half a second of wind up and then definitely like this bits can be, what is that? That's 16 to 21 frames. Let's make that 15 to 21 frames instead. Why can you only skip 2 frames ahead? There we go. So we have wind up part 2, and then we have the swing itself. So wind up. A better way to say this is the wind up, this is the like momentary pause, and this is the swing. The swing should also be a little slower. So let's move you to 25 frames for now. And then this to 32. And then I think the overreach is probably pretty good as it is right now. I just like the idea that the swing itself also is a little bit slower because the weapon is a little bit heavier, right? It's bigger. Okay, that might be a little too slow. Yeah, that might be a little too slow. Let's speed that up ever so slightly. 2 frames off of that, and then bring this back to like 29. See what that feels like. That feels a bit better in movement, at least. Let's stick with this for now, because we need to also feel this in motion in gameplay, right? Right now we are looking at this from an animation perspective, which I think it looks pretty decent from an animation perspective. But it also needs to feel not too sluggish from a gameplay perspective. Which, of course, that is the most important bit here. I feel like maybe the wind-up is still a little... Like, if we move this a little bit back, the wind-up can be pretty big, and then the pause, and then we have the swing through. Let's stick with this for now. Let's not make random keyframes that don't matter, because that could actually fuck us up in some way at some point. Let's create a linked animation sequence, which is going to get put into a random folder, which I don't like. Character, player, animation sequences, and this will be Scythe Attack 1. Let's do all the animations first and then make the gameplay abilities. The gameplay ability itself is just a matter of changing a couple of variables around and we'll have a new gameplay ability. That won't be the problem. Not in the least. That'll be very easy to make. The special ability for the weapon itself, of course, will be a little bit more involved. But that's a pretty decent start. So now let's make Scythe Attack 2 and base that off of Sword Attack 1. Because what I'm thinking is if I could get the movement in such a way that the swing back through somehow also uses the inside of the scythe to like reap the enemies rather than slashing them with the outside, which just doesn't make a lot of sense. For a scythe, that would be ideal. But I'm gonna be honest with you, I didn't fully think this through. So we're in this together at this point. Let's duplicate this and call this Scythe Attack 2. Because what we have right here is like we're trying to hit the enemies with the movement how it is right now. Like this bit here is the thing that's hitting our enemies, and that's, you know, specifically this bit could actually still be pretty dangerous, but that's probably not necessarily what we want. And holy hell, this animation is a mess of keyframes. Let's move things about a little bit so we have all these keyframes, which are like minute movements, which we don't really care about at the moment. No, they're just different parts of the body moving, right? That's... Holy fuck, what am I doing here? Oh no, that actually does make sense. We're gonna keep that in. Now, the question is there any reasonable way for us to... Hold on, I scaled this animation. I don't like how Unreal deals with that. Let's line all of these back up to actual frames before we do anything else. So that's all on a frame now. Again, we'll worry about timing when we have the actual movements down. That's generally how I like to do things. Because moving keyframes around is not that difficult. Moving body parts around is a fucking pain in the ass. No, don't add in keyframes. Don't do that. It's a bad idea. That'll do for now. So, okay. How can we make a movement that uses the inside of the scythe here reasonably? And I think the answer is we probably just simply cannot, right? I don't think... Without... You know what I'm going to do? The whole thing that the scythe idea is based on is Marluxia from Kingdom Hearts. So I'm just going to look at the Marluxia boss fight and see what it does there. So let's do the Kingdom Hearts 2 or Kingdom Hearts 3? Kingdom Hearts 2. Marluxia battle. Yeah, that's the one. We'll mute this. That's fine. I just want to take a look at the animations here. So yeah, motherfucker has a scythe. Can you tell? Mine was based on that. Maybe a little, ever so slightly. Dude has a very cheap keyblade. It's the best keyblade in the game. It's not the ultimate weapon, funnily enough. Okay. We first have this attack, which... Man, first time I played this, I waited until like level 90 to fight this boss. Okay, so we have a swing similar to what I have right now. But then what does he do? He does do like an underhanded swing through as well. I would be very curious to see what the fuck is going on with his wrist, because I don't think that this is how like human wrists work. Like check out what happens to the scythe within one frame here, right? It's within like 3 frames. Okay, let's try to emulate that a little bit. So how... I don't know if my rig is really going to be able to do any such thing, to be honest with you. Also, I don't have the benefit of there being a sleeve over this. But I don't think that his wrist does something that is even like remotely physically viable, if I'm being honest with you. But then again, neither does Sora's body in every animation that he does. So what we need to do is we probably need to do this in like... Yeah, there's no way in hell. Literally no way in hell. It's the only thing that I can do to get this there is bending the wrist all the way the fuck around like this. Because changing the elbow position is not gonna like do much here. Like it's gonna do a little. It might be enough, to be honest. Now that I'm looking at this, like this might actually end up working, which would be insane. Just goes to show you that, you know, animations don't have to be realistic, they just have to work. And in my defense, I do get away with the fact that I don't have like a properly modeled hand here. I just have like a stub that the weapon goes through. So unless you're looking very closely at this specific wrist movement, which will happen over a couple of frames, I don't think this is going to be too bothersome. Have you run into this issue with other animations you've been working on? Not yet, because, and probably not a lot in the future, because most of the weapons in the game, I only have the sword in at the moment, but most of this kind of stuff, like, the weapons aren't directional. Swords are sharp at both sides, at least the sword that I have. You of course have like cutlasses and scimitars and that kind of stuff, which have one sharp edge. I don't have any of those in my game. I only have like the sword. I'm going to have dual swords, which is just 2 swords with sharp edges on both sides. I have a spear blend, but I am considering doing something different for that because I don't think a spear is a particularly interesting weapon. Like a warhammer or a mallet, which will be like a blunt force weapon on both sides. Specifically, the scythe is a directional weapon, mostly because it's not a weapon. Like, it's a farming tool. Is what it is. It's just fantasy nerds have claimed it as a weapon, and I am part of the problem. So that's why this is being an issue, because it needs to attack with this side of the weapon. The other side doesn't make a lot of sense to attack with. So that's why I haven't run into this before, and I don't expect to run too much into this in the future. But you know what? This actually kind of works. Yeah, as long as the arc looks right, especially with like the weapon trail behind it, it'll be fine. And that's the most important part about this, is to get the animations in such a way that the weapon trail actually ends up looking like a proper white trail and not like a thin piece of shit. But now what I need to do is I need to make sure that this fucking thing doesn't reset back to... Yeah, it doesn't do exactly that. It can do it here though, that's fine. You know what? I actually don't hate it so far. There's a lot of work that we still need to do with this, obviously, but... there's a lot that we can still improve with the other parts of the arm. And as such, let's just remove all the intermediate keyframes and just try to have, you know, even these keyframes, we're not really going to build off of too much. So we can just keep those. And this one, we try to keep this a little bit like more open. And world space, maybe we can do a little bit more of that. And then the actual shoulder itself is going to be another thing that we have to deal with, obviously. Let's just move this keyframe there. And it's mostly going to be the shoulder that... let's see what this looks like. It's probably going to look like shit. The body itself... my god. Again, people always message me when I'm streaming, which honestly is not that big a deal. That specifically was a bit of confusion because work-related stuff. So it's good that we're communicating there. Okay, let's take a look at what this animation looks like in full. It's probably gonna look very bad. It's actually not that horrible, all things considered. Let's play out to God. Keyframe nightmare. Things are happening here which I don't want like at all. We're going to put a keyframe there, and we're just going to remove these. Do we have any more keyframe mess? Okay, that's a little bit better. So this is at the moment 8 frames. Let's make that 14. A little bit of wind up. Then we need a little bit of like a pause moment. I've been calling it a pause. It's not really a pause. It's more like this is the wind up. Then we need a portion of the animation that's like bracing for the actual attack that's about to happen. So what we'll do is we'll make that 14, 15, 16, 17. Let's go for frame 18. I think 4 frames. About a 1/10 of a second. A little more. It's probably good. And in that time, we just want to rotate through a little bit more still. Want to do that in local space though. Rotate through a little more, a little deeper. Probably in that time, we also want to go through our knees a little bit more. which means that this one is going to have to be a little less down. Is there any more room that we can reasonably gain here with rotation? Maybe. Let's take a look. Of course, this animation is now very long. And when I say very long, I mean 40 frames, which is a second and a half. It's also very slow. I don't think the second one necessarily needs to be as slow. It doesn't need to be as fast as the sword, obviously. But a little faster than it is right now might not be a bad thing. And then the swing through, we can make it a little faster as well. The rotation of the scythe actually into the second attack there, I'm surprised how remarkably well that works. For context, this is roughly going to be the... a little higher up actually. This is going to be the angle that we usually will be looking at this from. So that's... like, that works well enough for me. Does this clip through the floor though? Because it looks like, yeah, it does. It's not good. That's not good. But that's just part of the... that's actually just going to blend out anyway. Yeah, I don't think that really is going to be a problem, if I'm being honest. Because the last about 20% of the... actually, no, the last 0.2 seconds. So keep in mind, this is a second and a half of animation. Like, this is the 1 second mark. So about here, this part of the animation only exists to have a little bit of movement to blend into the the default animation again, which is the idle and running animation. So these last few keyframes are never actually going to play out. So this is probably fine. Probably don't even need to fix it. I probably should fix it, but I won't. Can't you rotate the weapon on its side as the swing reaches its peak? There was some issue, I don't remember what it was with the rigging, and it's a very bad excuse, but there was some issue with the separate bone, because I do have a separate bone for the animation for the weapon, so that it can independently animate from the hand itself. Something was fucky with that, so I ended up not using that. So the weapon orientation itself is locked into the hand. I can't move the weapon independent from the hand, which is kind of too bad because it would give me a lot more freedom in the animation. But it was too fucky and I decided, you know what, I don't care. But I could animate the wrist here. And I probably actually should animate this to go back to... where it started at. And I have no idea how I'm going to achieve that. Oh, just like that, apparently. Cool. Neat. Okay. How does that look in motion? Again, this is going to be blending anyway, so that this might look very weird. Ooh, that looks smooth, actually. I don't know how that's going to look with like the hand from the back in actual gameplay. But that looks pretty smooth. Yeah. No, that looks pretty smooth. So yeah, I can't have it turning around before this part because obviously the swing itself needs to have... Actually, the swing itself should probably be a fair bit flatter than it is right now, I realize. Because it does swing up quite a bit. So let's like that. Okay. I don't hate it. Which is my way of saying I'm actually kind of happy with it. Like, this is going a lot better than I expected it to be when I started up this stream already. Again, we'll look at the timing in a moment. But for now, let's create a linked animation sequence, which again is going to require me to find the right folder here for a second. Animation sequence, Scythe attack 2. Now we come to attack number 3. Attack number 3 is going to be the combo finisher. Unlike the sword, which has, well, also has 3 animations, to be fair, it just repeats 2 of them. I can just show you, actually. I don't know if you can read this, but it's worth a try. We also have an up attack and a down attack, don't we? Do I even use that in the code anymore? I don't think I even use that in the code anymore. Maybe I do. No, those are gameplay abilities. I do use those. Okay, so I need animations for those as well. I kind of forgot about that. We'll worry about that when we get to it. Maybe I can just use the up and down attack from the same animations. That would be neat. Anyway, the weapon attacks for the sword go attack 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. So I reuse the attack 1 and 2 to make a longer combo. The scythe is only going to have 1, 2, 3. It's going to be a shorter combo. So it still needs the same amount of animations, though, is what I'm getting at, which is kind of annoying. But we'll worry about that in a moment. I just don't really know. I think for the combo finisher, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make it like Scythe Attack 1 without a wind-up, and it's going to be a 360-degree attack around it. Because, for context, the ability will probably end up programming today anyway, because things are going very well so far. We're like, oh, we're already 30 fucking minutes in. This is going, wow, that's... Sometimes I'll look over at the time and I'm like, oh my god, I feel like I've been streaming for 3 hours and we're only an hour in. It feels like we just started. And we're 30 minutes in. Wow. So maybe we won't get to that. I don't know. But the special attack for this weapon is going to be you suck in all of the enemies toward you, and then you do like a 360 attack around you, attacking everything in the immediate vicinity at once. So if you're familiar with Kingdom Hearts, which again a lot of like the abilities and gameplay in my game is based on, with a little sprinkling of like Dark Souls in there. It's kind of like Magnet Burst, the combo finisher in Kingdom Hearts 2, where you do a magnet attack, which lasts for like 2 seconds or something like that, draws in all the nearby enemies, and then does a magic burst thing, which damages all of those enemies. It's kind of going to be like that. So having a weaker version of that as the combo finisher, so that being just a 360 attack without the sucking in of the enemies around you, kind of makes sense. Maybe, I don't know. Right now we're doing animation, or at least I'm trying to do animation. So let's remove this first keyframe from this animation and just do this. And while we do that, we'll also rotate the... Do I have like a full body? I do have a full body. Bone. This will also then, while we do that, Which one is it? This one. You know what? That actually needs a little bit of work. How easy is it to animate in Unreal Engine compared to Maya or Blender? I like it, but the setting up of the rigs is a little bit more involved, a little bit more tricky. At least compared to Blender. I like the way Blender rigs work with like constraints in like a modifier stack. For Unreal, I'm gonna get sidetracked here, so please do pull me back on track if this takes too long. This is my control rig for the player. Part of the reason that I ended up doing it in Unreal is because for like cutscenes and stuff like that, if you have cutscenes in your game, doing it with just pre-made like animation sequences is a little annoying and limiting. And if you want to animate cutscenes in Blender, then export them over to Unreal. It's really hard to fine-tune them in Engine, so it's nicer to like make cinematics and that kind of stuff with a control rig in Engine. And I figure, you know what, if I'm doing that anyway, I might as well do all of my normal animation in Engine as well. So that's why I'm animating in Engine. But this is the way. I'm not going to go over all of this at the moment because, frankly, I have a basic video on this, or two basic videos on how to set up like a normal character rig and like a hand rig. But this is the way you set up forward kinematics. So this is what the spine does. So that sets up all of these rings to control the spine bones. And then over here I have honestly kind of unfinished. I never finished it. The idea is that I can switch between forward kinematic and inverse kinematic for all the four limbs individually. So all of these have, this is the FK version. So if IK is not enabled, it does the same thing as with the spine. It just maps the forward kinematic controls to the bones. If it is enabled, what it will do instead is it will run some of these, which is IK, and that just runs these nodes, or specifically actually only this one node, seemingly. All this other stuff is not connected up, which sets up IK. So it's a little, again, since it's a node-based system, it feels a little bit more like you're programming in everything compared to Blender, which seems a little bit more user-friendly in some ways, but it's a matter of perspective, right? So that's how you set up the control rigs, and then you, of course, again, I have an entire video about this. Go check that out. But you have to set up all of these controllers, which also have a hierarchy of their own, and you, through these nodes, link them up to the actual bones of your armature. You can make the armature in Blender, which I would highly recommend. Unreal only recently got weight painting, and I don't even know if you can make armatures or only weight paint in Unreal now. You should make the armature itself in Blender. You cannot set up like IK constraints and that kind of stuff in Blender and import that into Unreal. Like all the IK and FK controllers and all those constraints you do need to set up in Unreal if you want to animate in Unreal. But the armature itself you can and should do in Blender. Now let's go back to this son of a bitch. It does need a little wind up, doesn't it? It does need a little bit more wind up. So let's move this entire thing like 9 frames might be a little much. What I'm going to do, and I don't know if this is going to work, but I'm going to go back into my animation level sequences here and back into Scythe attack number 1. I'm going to try to just copy over a keyframe from a different animation and paste that in. Never tried this before. It works! Okay. Did not entirely expect that to work, gonna be honest with you. Don't need the full wind up for it though. Like if we just take this part of it. Okay, and then we definitely need like a couple of frames of bracing here. Which actually, let's do that this way. So the way that I like to do this, and I'm by no means a professional animator, so please do not take everything I say all too serious in the end. The IK targets should also be moving this direction here. Because the knees were pointing the wrong way. So this is the wind up. Then I like to have like a couple of frames of a pause to accentuate the difference between the beginning part of the animation and then the actual attacking part of the animation. But you can't just have your character freeze. So what I usually end up doing is I make some micro movements, which is just a slightly softer or smaller version of the movement that came before it. So we have this very big like backward rotation. This part is just going to continue that movement, but a lot more subtle, a lot smaller. So it kind of feels like what's really happening is he's slowing down the movement that he was doing. You could do this through curves as well. I like doing it in keyframes. Because it allows me to actually see that right away in the timeline. It just gives it a little bit more oomph, you know? Again, don't necessarily take animation advice from me. I get by making animations. By no means am a professional animator. I'm just a bit of a jack of all trades and have a background in video stuff. So I have some feeling as for like timing and animation stuff. Because working in Adobe After Effects, something is going wrong there, clipping through the floor. Oh, that's why. That'll do it. We still have the wrong wrist position. We can relatively easily fix that up if we just find the wrist bone here and just say, hey, you, delete that keyframe. And then we can get you somewhat more reasonably into place. Actually think that local space works probably a bit better for this. Maybe? Let's see. Okay, we'll do it. We'll do with that for now. I think that's pretty decent. And we can create linked animation sequence, which again needs to go into the animations, characters, player, animation sequences, and that is God damn it, Scythe Attack 3. And now what we can do is add in a couple of events actually into the animations themselves in a moment. Let's do that first. So what we have is, I'll just show you the sword attacks. We have a couple of animation events here, which is setting the collision box for the damage to on and off, and setting the, I've called it combat pulse because it's like a pulse of movement forward for the combat. But this is just like adding forward momentum to the character, so so it goes towards the nearest enemy. And I need to put in these 3 events in all animations. So let's say we have Scythe Attack 1, which is a considerably slow... wait, what? Sword Attack 1 is 30... Why does that look so much different? Oh, it's because it's only showing one of these tall things every 5 frames rather than every frame. So we should be able to add a notify track actually. And just paste in notifies, right? There we go. So we have the backward movement. It starts there. That is attack number 3. So this one... I don't think that this one necessarily needs the forward momentum because it's a 360 attack. So also the damage box should be turned on a little bit later. Why is that one... Oh, I didn't add a C to the other one's names. That's why. That makes a lot of sense suddenly, doesn't it? I wish you could box select in this. That would be kind of nice. It's not a big deal. Be very nice quality of light though. Let's see. This does not feel like it's different from the sword attack, I'm not gonna lie. It might be, but it doesn't feel like it. Well, it's slower, and we can actually see in the length of the animation that it is a different animation, so I'm just going insane. And then we have this one, which is a wrist-breaking kind of maneuver, but we just don't really care about that. Yeah, the timing of this is definitely off. But let's just go with all that for now. So we can select these and then we can create and a montage, and it makes an animation montage for each one of them. Put those into the right folder, quite important. And then the only thing that's really left to do, well, there's a couple of things left to do, is opening the blueprints, characters, player, gameplay ability system, gameplay abilities, and we simply just copy over blueprint sword attack 1, which will be blueprint scythe attack 1. Let's add these ones first. We can keep this all the same. The only thing we change is this is going to be the scythe. Without a C apparently, because that's how I spell things. Scythe 1 montage. Freeze rate, we can keep the same. The damage is going to be a fair bit more. Gravity scale, cache, I don't know why that's exposed, to be honest with you. Same with character movement, but sure. The knockback will be a little bit less for this one, so let's set these to maybe 80. Enemy location, doesn't matter. Damage type, we don't have that implemented yet. We'll look at that later. I thought I had a variable for forward momentum. I don't seem to have that after all. We might need to go back over this and implement that at some point. For now, let's just stick with what we got. Duplicate this Scythe Attack 2. And that should just be the next one down. There we go. Duplicate this Scythe Attack 3. and that's pretty much all there is to it. Except, of course, we need to go into our scythe blueprint, and we need to actually set the attacks to being those. So first and foremost, we're going to delete 2 of these entries because it's only going to be 3 attacks long, and then we look at scythe attack 1, 2 and 3, which we at some point need to make a better way to grant these abilities to the player, but for the time being, we'll just add them to this list over here. Gonna be real with you, it's kind of embarrassing that I'm doing it like this, because I still don't have a proper system for it, but you guys can look away for a second, right? Like, we can all agree that this is our collective imagination, and this is not actually how my code works at the moment, because that would be embarrassing if it was. The input ID for them all has to be -1 though. Don't want to get input IDs mixed up. And this is... don't need the last one. Did I fuck something up? I don't care, we're going to fix this up at some point in the future. Anyway. But now we should be able to run the... This sometimes fucks things up, so let me actually... Also, I forgot one more thing, I realize now. Because, I don't know if did I set that up? I don't know. We'll see in a moment. But we have Sword Attack 1, which... Okay, so they all play on the default montage slot, so I don't actually need to set anything up. I was thinking I have a separate combat animation slot that those montages play in, but apparently I do not. So we have our sword, which still does our sword combo. Neat. We can switch to our scythe, which will do these very different attacks. Oh, but that last one actually looks kind of cool. Oh my god, I love that. Like the much slower. Oh my god, I did not expect that to actually look that good. The weapon trail needs to be purple for it though. But just let me be happy for a second, okay? That makes me a very happy person. Let's do the weapon trail here. I don't think I have this set up yet, but this should be relatively easy to do. Because we have the initialized particle, color mode, direct set, and can we just right click this to make this a parameter? That would be kind of cool if they included that, but we no. Oh, we have a trail material user. I don't think we need that, to be honest with you. I think the way we're going to do this instead is we just want to have a linear color, and that will be our trail color. Do feel free to ask things about the animations. Happy to answer any questions if and when I can. For montages, yeah, what about it? Okay, so that now emits the trail color, so that should, in theory, if I go back into the scythe now, be a parameter. I mean, it's not. Doesn't seem to be anyway. Why not? No, seriously, why not? Do I need to reopen this thing? I'm a little confused. Scythe, weapon trail. So for sword slash my character doesn't sit in the same place. Moves forward. That's interesting. So are you asking how to make it move forward, or does it move forward without you wanting it to be? Because if it's the second one, I have no idea. If it's the first one, you need to enable root motion. I don't know why this one is not displaying as a user parameter. I'm a little confused. Because this should show up now. It doesn't. Okay, we'll just restart the engine real quick. That's no big deal. Need to compile about 1,000 shaders, but what else is new? Welcome to Unreal Engine. Luckily, I have a good CPU. And a decent solid state drive. Okay, open up all those fucking assets again. Is that the issue? Did I just get confused and need to rebuild? Because I hope to God that that is no. Why is this not showing up in my user parameters? What the actual fuck? Let me Google this real quick. Unreal, Niagara, user parameter not showing. Do I need to set it to like be exposed or something like that? User parameter not visible. Okay, yes. That's the issue I'm having as well. Looks like a bug specifically to do with C++ related shit. Of course it is. Well, let's do a workaround for now then. And what we'll do is on begin play we'll set parameter, set color parameter, which the name is, what did I name it again? Trail color. That makes sense. Can I please copy the name? And the parameter in this case will be, can be a little more toward blue for a purplish color. That should be a temporary fix. That, the fuck do you mean? It's not blueprint read. Right. Let's see. Blueprint, not blueprint visible at all. We can fix that. We can fix that relatively easily, in fact. As soon as I find the weapon header file. And we have the... Actually, surely it's up here. Weapon trail. Blueprint. Oh, let's set it to read write. That's fine. And open up the chat again. I use Unreal 4, so I don't think Unreal 4 or 5 is going to make it. Did I? Did I make a typo? I don't think I made a typo. I don't think Unreal 4 or 5 really makes a difference there for you. But I'm still not entirely sure what your question is, so it's kind of hard to really say. Oh, it should not be used on private members. Okay. Sure. This is public or protected. This is public. Do I have a protected section? I do. Yeah, probably should have been in protected to begin with, actually. Why was I even able to access that? Doesn't matter. This should fix up, at least for right now, the issue that I was having. It's not ideal. I would prefer it to just expose itself as a parameter, but you can't win them all. Now, let's see whether or not that... let's not do that in here, actually. Let's do that in the animation level. Because we're going to need to make some more animations in a second anyway. So we have the scythe, which now has... Nope. That's annoying. But that might actually be due to the material, now that I think about it. So we have the ribbon renderer, there we have the material trail. And the material trail should use the particle color, which it does not do. So we get the particle color, and we multiply that. That is entirely my mistake. I thought that was already implemented in there, but apparently it's not. That's the stuff. Specifically that last one, I really like the trail on it. It's a little slow, admittedly. But let's actually test it out in like a combat scenario, just to feel what it's like. I feel like maybe the knockback for this one should also be slightly higher, but we can fine-tune that as we go along and into the future and that kind of stuff. That's entirely fine. So let's open up the persistent world. It's going to take a while because it loads in a fuck ton of levels. I just realized that you guys probably can't hear. Yeah. Let me fix it real quick. Well, you can probably hear through my microphone, but that's not the best quality for the audio, so you can hear now. That's fine. Cool. Let's just parkour up here because it's the closest enemies that I have, to my knowledge. And there's a shit ton of them, so having a 360 attack might actually come in quite handy here. Immediate crash! Fantastic. What is it trying to access that it doesn't have a pointer to? It might just be a live coding related issue, because this seems to begin overlap weapon line 74. We can look at that, but it doesn't really... Line 74. Like, if other actor is get player actor, player character, or no pointer return. Otherwise, get character movement, stop movement immediately. Does it not have a reference to the player on begin play? It should. It's probably a live coding issue. Log player character name. Oh fuck! No! I don't know what I just did. That's all the hotkey script that does something entirely different. What I wanted to do was build, which is just Control B, right? No, Shift B, no, definitely not Control Shift B. We'll just do it like this. Build. No. You know what I'll do? I just take my phone, open macro key, or whatever it's called, macro deck, and hope to God that this doesn't display my IP address on the stream. It does not. Okay, we can just go into Unreal coding, and I can build source. No, it definitely still does the same thing. Why does this no longer work? I set this up to work the other day, and it doesn't. Okay, I'll just exit all the hotkey and worry about this later, because yeah, it definitely is Control Shift B. Then why does Control Shift B also... Is that mapped to something else as well? I tested this out like a day ago. Or does this only work when auto hotkey is not enabled? That could be it, hold on. Yeah, auto hotkey just has something mapped to that same input as well. That's the issue. Okay. And that's why I want to be able to run auto hotkey functions directly rather than having to like proxy them through keybinds. Because you can have conflicts. And I don't like having conflicts. All that said, I'm surprised that there's even build with the crash log still open. To be fair though, with auto hotkey and using macro deck rather than stream deck, I can now use F12 or F13 rather through 24, which are not on normal keyboards but are existing virtual keys. So that makes a lot of shortcut combinations that you can use as those kind of proxies, which is fine. Which you can't even do on a regular keyboard anyway. I just need to set that up properly at some point in the near future. So yeah, I'm going to put my output log over on the other screen for a moment here. I can still read the chat though. That's nice. I just can't see OBS. How does that crash the game? Weapon begin play 61. Okay, so it literally just doesn't get a reference to the player for whatever reason. Huh. That's odd. That's really weird. I wonder why. Because this is just a character, right? Yeah, a character pointer. I don't even know why this compiles, because that definitely needs to be a class for declared, but why does that line fail? I mean, I can build in a different way of getting the player character if required. If we don't have the player character, player will be equal to get parent actor, because you're always going to be a child of the parent actor there, so that should do it as a fallback. But that's still really weird. That's really weird. Yeah, I don't know why that suddenly is acting up. What the fuck do you mean we cannot convert a actor to a... Oh, because no, that does make sense. We can cast that though. That's fine. Okay. I'm fairly certain that even with the weapon switching, which I haven't actually tried doing combat after implementing the weapon switching, so there might still be something to do with that. But when I switch weapon classes, I'm pretty sure that it just deletes and spawns in a new one, and it does run begin play. And if it doesn't, can I just call begin play? Is that just a function? I should be able to just call that as a function, right? If worse comes to worse. When I spawn a new thing in, I can just say, hey, run begin play. Would that fuck anything up? Okay, I'm a little worried because when I spawn in the weapons, it's not actually... It's logging a message saying hello. But It's not logging a message. Oh no, it is. It's just logging it as a warning. I should show you. It's logging this, which confused me, but it's also just like logging this. So it should now have that reference to the player. Which still might not fix the fact that it crashes in combat, because that seemed to maybe be related to something else entirely. Oh my god, I'm stuck in the wall. And it also still crashes the game. Why? I mean, it's now on line 80 because it's still the same line of code. It's get character movement, stop movement immediately. I mean, I don't need this line of code anymore. I don't think, because it also does that in gameplay ability. So we can just get rid of... We can actually get rid of this function altogether, I believe. But it's still going to be an issue through the blueprint. Right? We'll see. Let's compile again. Isn't game development just fun? It's always so good to fuck. Begin overlap is not a member of... Do I have to begin overlap? Oh, it's trying to add it to a delegate. Yeah, no, that makes sense. Remove that as well. Debugging is so much fun. This is not even debugging. This is just making it like minimal viable products, like making it function. From there, we still have to like actually debug weird edge cases and stuff like that. This is just making it work, making it not crash, like bare minimum. And I thought I had that working for my combat, and I don't fully know what I did to break it. Well, that depends on how you would define a minimum viable product in this case. Did you use a GDD? I don't even know what that means. Let me Google that. Can I just Google that GDD? Like meaning? Developmental delay or global developmental delay? That's that's like a neurological syndrome. Is it a form of autism? Did I use autism to make this? Potentially. Game design document. That makes a lot more fucking sense. Partly. I have a bunch of different smaller documents all just stored together in a folder. I do like the idea of making a game using autism a lot more, though. That sounds like a very promising thing indeed. So okay, what we'll do is I'll check whether or not it's something to do specifically with the scythe. Well, no, let's check first and foremost that the thing that I changed, maybe that fixed it. And if that didn't fix it... No, that fixed it. Never mind. Oh, that still looks so good. So we have one... We have to be a little bit more careful with this. Yeah, it's definitely a lot slower. which makes it kind of hard to hit anything at all, I'm being honest with you. So maybe it's a little too slow, even? But that is satisfying as all hell. Maybe it should have a little bit of a bigger range with that. When I switch weapons, I also should reset the combo, though. Because right now what I can do is 1, 2, 3... And then... no. That's not what I meant. What I can do is I can do 1, 2, 3... Switch over, and... It's actually not making my game crash for some reason. Logically speaking, it should. Huh. There's definitely still a potentiality for it to crash. Also, why are these guys just hanging about and doing literally nothing? Oh. I can change mid-attack, which makes for some weird stuff. Okay, so my flying golem AI still's not exactly perfect by any stretch of the imagination. Yeah, maybe they should be a little less slow than they are right now, because these can still hurt me. Oh, but hitting like 4 of them at once is just such a fucking great feeling. Oh, and my heal button is also my weapon switching button. I'm running out of buttons to map that makes sense. Anyway, this doesn't really matter for now. So yeah, what I was thinking, the reason that it will crash is because I didn't finish that thought, I don't think. What I'm doing is somewhere I have a variable on the player character that keeps track of the combo. I think it's on the player character. Is it on the weapon? Is the combo like index or combo? It should probably be on the weapon. That'll probably be the fix that I end up going with. But I have a integer that just counts up to check which attack in the combo that you need to do. But if I use a weapon with a combo length of 5 and I get that index up to 4 and then I switch very quickly to a weapon that has a shorter combo and try to attack before the combo counter resets, that will then try to look up an attack in an array at an index number that doesn't exist, which will crash the game. It didn't happen there, but I can promise you that it is possible to make it do that. So what I need to do is when I switch weapons, and I can just do that right away, right now, I need to also reset the combo counter. So we have a cycle up and cycle down. Maybe I already just put in that code. I did not. I have like combo counter. Combo. No. Fucking Copilot. You had it right. Combo. Counter. What is it called? Combat counter? Something like counter. Attack counter is what it's called. There we go. So attack counter. IntelliSense, please, for the love of God. I'll just copy this over. It's fine. Just attack counter 0. There we go. Could use X or H for healing. I'll probably end up going with X for healing and Z for special attack on the keyboard, because I want them to be close to WASD. And for the keyboard, I don't necessarily mind implementing something like rebinding keys for players. Specifically for the controller, I have all my button mappings thought out in such a way that like actually plays together with the game design. Like if you just take I'm gonna use a PlayStation controller, so if you don't have one at hand or in mind, but the attack button is on the X button, which is the bottom face button, and then the heal button is on the triangle, meaning that if you want to go from attacking to healing, you will have to like move your thumb away from the attack button and the other way around. So you actually have to like go back and forth. There's no like real comfortable way to have both attacking and healing at a moment's notice. You need to actually like move your thumb for that, realistically speaking, in order to do that. So for that reason, I don't want to make the controller remappable, because I actually put some thought into where I have everything and why they're in the location that they are. Which is a bit of an accessibility issue, potentially. That's the only thing that worries me about that. Not letting people remap the controller buttons, but I don't... I'm going to be honest with you, I don't know how much I care about that. Because I don't know. I'm not entirely sold on it yet. I'm still on the fence. I might end up implementing just remappable controls across the board, also for controllers. But I want to discourage people from doing it. Because, again, I have put some thoughts into why certain buttons do certain things. For the keyboard, a lot less, though. For the keyboard, I have less of an attachment to which buttons do what for what reason. So I can deal with that working slightly differently. That said, though, let's immediately go in and update that, because that having a conflict on input is not great, to say the least. So characters, player, inputs, default input mappings. List of actions is getting quite long. Heal will be put on... for now, let's put it on X. I think X is a pretty good one. And then the special attack, I think I temporarily mapped to control. I don't love that either. So I'm going to map that to the Z button instead. Special attack on the Z button. And then the weapon up and down cycle will be for the controllers. Might as well add those as well now. On the up cycle will be right, so that will be a right trigger. Gamepad, right trigger, and then cycle down will be left trigger. The left trigger. Okay, so going back to the actual game design and balancing here, because we have like, this is the speed of the sword attacks, which is kind of what I've been basing most of my combat around up until now. If we then swap over to the scythe attack, again, very much slower. Are they too slow? Like, am I overcompensating and making them too slow is the question. And the answer is, you guys can't answer that because you don't have the game, like, in your hands at this moment. So, what I will try to do is when this stream ends, I will try to make a packaged build of the game. Apparently, I'm already very quiet on the audio. And I'll put it up on my itch page for the game. So you guys can actually play around with this, and if you want to, that is, and let me know how this feels. Because I feel like it might be a little too slow and sluggish. Then again, that does make it... I am so used to using the Q button for aerial recovery as well at this point. It does feel a little bit more dangerous to do attacks with, which makes it a bit more Souls-like now, rather than hack and slash, which is maybe a good thing. But I feel like as a result of that, the weapon should also deal like significantly more damage than it does now. Yeah, I think it does like 50% more damage now than the sword. Let me actually double check that. So it needs to do significantly more damage as well. Because otherwise the entire point of this weapon will just be switching to it for its special attack and then switching back out of it, which is a viable thing. Like, I have one of the weapons that will be designed to be used that way. It'll be a shield which doesn't actually like have any normal attacks. It only has a special ability. So the whole idea is that you switch into it to absorb attacks, to block attacks, and then it kind of works like, again, Kingdom Hearts Reflect. Any attack that you absorb while holding up the shield ability, it will then recoil back at like double the damage towards the enemies around you. So the whole idea there is that you switch into it, use the ability as precisely as possible to use as little mana as possible, and then switch back out to a normal weapon again. It will be in the rotation between two of the more useless weapons, comparatively. So you need to like juggle which weapons you're using, which of course switching weapons takes a little bit of time. So that is definitely like a design thing that I am doing. It's not what I want the scythe to be like though. So I definitely want the scythe to be usable as just a normal combo weapon. Are you using iframes for your dodge? If you mean that little like dash thing that I do, that has iframes, yeah. Definitely. You also, I think, get iframes for a little bit after you've been hit once. I'm not entirely sure. It might not be the case. I don't know. So yeah, gameplay abilities. Let's take a look. If I open up the sword attack. Yeah, see, this deals 10 damage. Sword attack 2 deals 10 damage. Sword attack 3 deals 20 damage. And these all deal 15 damage now. So let's set these to like 20 and 25. And then this one also 25, but it will hit a lot of things around you. So now it's about twice as powerful as the normal sword. So maybe that'll make it more worth it. But I do feel like it's a little on the slow side, to be honest. Specifically because a lot of the enemies are actually quite fast as well. That's not what I meant to do. Also keep in mind that it's easier to hit multiple enemies with this. But it's kind of difficult against these enemies to get off an entire combo with the scythe. So that does make it slightly more annoying to deal with. Yeah, you see, it's the recovery there is kind of fucking with me. And the combo resets a little too quickly to actually get all the way through reasonably. I think actually maybe what I want to do is for that last attack, I actually want to keep the player input so you can move around while doing that a little bit more. I think that would be neat. That said though, with this attack now dealing more damage, I feel like it also ends up being a little bit better. And again, especially that last one, like, it just looks really nice. Yeah, so that lightning attack doesn't actually deal knockback yet. It does deal damage, but no knockback. Yeah, no, I feel like now that I've played with it a little bit more, which as a developer is kind of a weird experience, right? Because I have been playing this game. I'm also about to die, to be fair. But I'm playing this game. Oh, it still does, still does the same special attack. That's right. I've been playing this game for like a year, right? Playing is maybe a bit of a big word there. It makes these enemies a hell of a lot easier to hit with a longer reach, though. Wow. So having something that is new and that I actually have to get used to again, and that doesn't feel like second nature, is a very weird experience for my own game. But I managed to go through that relatively well, I would say, so maybe this is pretty good. I'm gonna go ahead and say that that was actually not too bad. And specifically for like crowd control reasons, that's kind of nice. Like this feels a lot more snappy. Let's see, we have this map doesn't load any enemies yet because I'm an idiot. I need to reorganize a little bit of my code anyway, because now when I switch weapons, the weapon becomes visible but never leaves again, which is definitely not what should be happening. Oh my god, these fuckers exist. That's right. Like regarding the iframes, actually, the attack from the magic dude that also does the lightning bolts. It also does that attack where all the runes appear around me. The intended purpose of that attack, or the intended way around that attack, rather, not even necessarily the purpose of that attack, is to make you use your dash. Because those runes close in on you, and if you don't use your dash, it's kind of impossible to avoid them. So you need to use your dash as like a dodge roll in that scenario. So what I'm thinking right now, and I'm going through this attack is what I mean. So if I just stand here, there you go. So what I'm thinking right now is the way to go is for things that run away like this guy. The scythe definitely is a good way to go because of its longer reach. But also something that it has, it's kind of annoying that it doesn't do the combat pulls in that case. But also what it has is that it does deal more damage, so it makes its way through the defense bar for the enemies very quickly. So something that you could reasonably do, and I'll show you this in a moment because I'm frankly just testing this out as well, right? So something that you could reasonably do is, okay, I'm gonna have to look into that. Is go through the defense bar with the scythe and then switch to the sword for some more rapid attacks to make sure that you keep being able to stun lock the enemies. Right? I think that is the way to go for now with the two weapons that we have. And then we definitely need to... So we use this to catch the enemy, to deplete its defense, and then we stun lock the ever-living hell out of them with the sword instead. I think that is the strategy to go with. Something like that anyway. There's also a certain amount of test play here. What the hell? Door event opened. Is that not in my game instance? I might have just not added that into my game instance. Events array, let's take a look. I think it was 110, door event open. No, that's definitely in there. That is definitely in there. Access non-trying to read property as BP RPG game instance. Why? Get game instance. I mean, it set up the enemy delegate fine. So why? And I should only ever call this if this is successful to begin with. Huh. Not something that I really want to look into right now. Okay. Now, we still don't have any, like, weapon unlocking capabilities. That's not programmed in whatsoever. And we're not going to be doing that today. And looking at how long this has taken us so far, I'm probably also not going to be doing the Magnet Burst special ability right now, because we're an hour and 40 minutes in. We're probably going to only like have about half an hour, 45 minutes before I call it a day, and that's not enough to make any significant progress on that, so I'll probably do that on Monday. What I'm going to do right now is I'm going to take a very quick bathroom break, because I'm drinking a lot of water, because I'm talking a lot, which means that I have to pee. And then when we come back, we'll decide what we're going to do then. Probably something fun. So if anybody's got any ideas as to what or where I can do any work on the game, now is your time to start spamming it in chat, because I'll see it in a minute when I'm back. And I'm back. And there's like 4 less people now. It's always funny to me how whenever a streamer goes away for like literally a minute, people just start leaving. That's not a judgment call, it's just interesting. I wonder what happens there. Like, are people... Do they have like actually such short attention spans that if they're not stimulated for a minute, they're going to look somewhere else? Or were they waiting to leave anyway, and me not being there for a minute gives them an opportunity to like have a clean cutoff as to where to leave? I have to imagine it's something like that, right? Either way, it does create a bit of like a situation where streamers are disincentivized. I don't know. You know what I mean. To like take care of themselves, which is kind of scary. I mean, I'm just doing this to like 10 people, so I don't give a shit. But imagine doing this like as your full-time job and you're live to like 1,000 people. You go to the bathroom, you come back, and there's like 800 people left. There's 200 people that just disappeared, which is suddenly a more significant amount of people. So actually, just not paying attention, I thought I'd glitched. Well, I mean, that's also a reasonable explanation. Okay, so what are we gonna do? Because again, I don't think I really have enough time to really in depth get into into programming that ability. Sometimes I just leave when the streamer is AFK, not because they are gone. That's also fair. Again, it's not necessarily like a judgment call on the people who leave, because like I get it. Well, I don't get it, but I don't mind it, because the fact that you guys are here to begin with, hanging out and having fun and being nice, is a privilege, not like a right. Like I don't have a right to your attention or anything. Let's just do a playthrough starting a new game. And see how things go with that. Answer. Immediately, apparently, there is an issue. What the fuck? What? How? That was weird. Small streamers are nice to watch. I do agree. Yeah, so what the fuck happens there? I'm more than slightly confused, I'm not gonna lie, because that's not how any of this shit should work. Let's just move this along a little bit, because what it should do is it should look up the door that has a corresponding name and teleport me to the arrow of that door. It seems like it's just straight up not doing that. Well, it's one of those things that I don't think I touched any code related to this, but somehow I still managed to break something here. Isn't that just fantastic? It does load in this level though. And the doors work in the other situations as well. So, is it specifically this level that doesn't work? Yeah, you fix one bug and another one pops up. The confusing part though is that usually that is to do with like the like things that have to do with each other. Like I haven't touched the level loading systems in over a month. And again, the level loading system itself works perfectly fine. Because this one works. Like if I go through this door, we just did that. That works perfectly fine. Unless... I don't think I've actually started a new game in a while. So what I might be doing is it might be trying to set that value in a wrong location. Because I think I used to have that set up in the level blueprint, I believe. And now I've moved it to the game instance. Or the level loading related code, because it just makes more sense to be in there. I might have even moved it into C++. I don't know. Maybe I didn't. So what I'm thinking right now is maybe it is the new game or the main menu widget here that does something weird. So let's see. We have on-clicked. It resets our event flags, that makes sense. It changes the music, that's fine. Sets the input mode to game only, sure. Show mouse cursor, and it calls on new game. That all seems to check out so far. But what might be... Return value should not be empty. The fuck are you talking about? Yeah, I don't care about that right now. So what might be happening is that in the level blueprint, we still spawn in the... No. This opens up our game instance, where we add the main menu. Do we have anything to do with the new game in here? Bind event to on new game. Start new game. First we remove the widget from parent. Then we load the starting room. So what I think might be the issue is that we are not setting our current level to the starting room as well. So when it's looking for a place to put us in, it doesn't have a name to be looking for. Also, sneeze. My god, that was a violent one. So this maybe fixes it. Or maybe it doesn't. Maybe it makes things worse. Somehow. Yeah, no, that definitely... that did not fix anything. None. I don't know, what was that set to? None with a capital N. So that was definitely not the issue, right? I'm going to be entirely honest with you, I don't fully remember what level load does. The current level, I need to clean this up so badly. The current level goes to a couple of places. That being set player location, start level. But when we load a level, the next level gets put into the current level, and the current level... Our entire loading system works though, so that can't be the issue. Like when we load a game, what happens? We spawn on our stuff, we bind player death respawn, we load the save data, and then we set level load, and our current level also is set to none. So surely that's not the issue. Assign level doors. Does that get run? That might not get run on new game for some reason. Let's see, that is reset level doors. Start new game. Spawn player. Possess. Bind player, death respawn. I don't think it assigns on level doors. Let's assign level doors loading. That may have been the issue. Well, at least now this spawns in again, for fuck's sake. Come on. Nope. Just refuses to fucking work. Well, this doesn't matter then. What else could it even be? Again, a load game works, so we need to check out what load game does differently. And load game actually also doesn't set up the... Yeah, no, load game also does not set that up, so that surely is not it. Everything seems to be the exact same thing. Did I change the name of that level or the thing in there? So we have 02_combat trial. What is the actual level asset called? Maybe I changed that somehow for some reason. Tutorial 02_combat tutorial. Let's just copy that over and paste that in. That is still the exact same fucking name. _starting room is also what this one refers to. So that surely can't be it. And again, I know that the system itself works. Because if I go through this door, I don't fall into the void. Yeah, I simply just do not fall into the void. Which is quite important. So I'm a little bit confused. More than a little bit, I might say. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go new game. Yay, good for you. And I'm going to load in the next level. That's cool. And we'll just set the third person character manually to the same location as this dude. So like copy this transform and paste it. So we're now in here. We'll get our intro cuts in here. Drag it from the wrong side. It's fine. If I go through this door again, it also fucks up. That's so weird. That is so fucking weird. Is it because these arrows are too close to the ground? Surely not. I mean, we can try to see what does it try to do when it fails. So we try to set actor location. It doesn't have any fallback stuff, I don't think. maybe. Got to figure out how this even works to begin with. Set player location, start level. Oh, that's a C++ function. So, so yeah, I'm going to just try, for shits and giggles, to move this arrow up and over a little bit. Like up a lot, actually. To see whether or not it's just like a collision thing, maybe. So used to pressing the load game. I'm also a little bit weirded out by the fact that I'm wielding the sword here, while I'm pretty sure that I was wielding the scythe in load game. Yeah, it just simply does not... Like, hold on, load game. Oh, no, I'm just going fucking crazy. Okay, so, but what is the issue? I'm gonna try one more thing. Of course, in new game, not in load game. That would be insane. So it's a good thing that yeah, I might not be uploading that build today after the stream, because if I can't end up fixing this in any way, shape, or form, there's going to be obvious issues here. I also seem to not have my abilities. Or other weapons. I have no abilities at all. Did I use live coding at any point? And not rebuild from source? Because me not having the abilities is a little weird. More than a little, actually. I'm going to just close this. Rebuild from source, just to make sure that there's no new code that we need to include. It is taking a moment here to build, so 9 seconds. There is some code that I apparently did change since the last proper build. So I'm going to hope that that was just also the reason that my level loading was fucked up with new game, which still doesn't make sense because it wasn't fucked up with load game. But you know, that's just kinda how things do be. It's just kinda how things do be sometimes. Sure, open up like fucking 21 assets. Cool with me. There we go. Okay, before we do anything else, okay, that works now. So, moment of truth. Was that the issue? It was not. That's a problem. That is a problem. It's a fixable problem, hopefully, at some point. Not right now, though. Are you fucking kidding me? Why can I not attack? Or change weapons after I fell down like that? What the actual fuck? Okay. The thing that I wanted to check though, I can still relatively easily check, and that is just moving you... Oh. That's not entirely what I had in mind. Being real with you. At some point you should come down here. Thank you. And we're at the other side. Even if we can't attack or anything. And attacking actually crashes the... How? What the hell? Why does falling into the void get rid of all my gameplay abilities? Hello? I hope you're in a better mental state than I am at the moment, because if you're not, it's probably not good. Because I am thoroughly confused. This is not Unity. Okay, we're gonna do this slightly differently. Never mind, we're not gonna do it like that. No, so this is Unreal Engine. And I'm just having a little bit of trouble right now. So I can switch the weapon and I can do all that. Like these attacks that I just created, I can do. Then I try to go through this door and all hell breaks loose. Do I have like 2 action RPG characters here or something? Like character... No, I only have one of them. So why does this one character suddenly not want to... Where's the pivot point for this object? I don't fucking... Copy this. Put my character right there. Into the loading zone of the next level. Where he's also falling through the floor forever. Okay, so explain to me. Okay, what I'm gonna do. I have an idea. I have an idea. I have an idea. I want to know. I'm just going to show you what I'm going to do. I'm not going to explain it because otherwise we're going to be here forever. I'm going to add a tick event. Does the game instance not have a tick event? Does the game instance not have a fucking tick God damn it. Okay, we can still do this. We'll do it in the third person character. That's fine. That's fine. I'm not losing my mind at all. It's perfectly healthy what I'm doing here with my mind. We will get game instance, which we will cast to our blueprints weapon particles for some reason. What the fuck? Cast to our blueprints. Oh, it was because it's a blueprint interface that it's allowing me to cast. That makes sense. And there we will print string twice. and that will be our current gets. Where the fuck does it even store those? Current level name. They come from as Action RPG game instance, but that is what we like. That is the local what tab. Huh? Find references. Set. Why do we even need to do this? This seems unnecessary. It's probably just because I copied it over from the level blueprint. But this should be able to get us the current level then. Get. Why not? Oh, they're called next level and last level. So that's next level and get last level. I think last level is the one that I want, and then yeah, okay. So now we'll just print those out every single frame, and I can see if there's a difference between in load game. Okay, so that's none and none. That is combat trial and none, which is correct. So our, yeah, okay, that's correct. And then it becomes 1.7 and 1.6. If I do new game, it becomes starting room and none, which should be the same. And then this becomes combat trial starting room. So that code works the exact same way, except it doesn't, apparently. Will I put this on Xbox? Maybe. Probably. At some point. Yeah, when it's finished, but not anytime soon. Because it's not going to be finished. Because you can't go from one level to the next when you start a new game anymore. For reasons that are beyond me. Man. What even, how even is this fucking up? Okay, so those bits, we can be fairly confident now that they function the same way. Because the print strings function the same way. What else could be doing this? Not that much, to be honest, because those functions... Like, the only thing that could be happening is that somehow... It is unloading and loading those levels. It's doing that. What it's probably not doing for some reason in new game is checking that new level, looping through all of the doors in that level, and picking out the right door. That is a thing that it's not doing, I think. So let's work through this one last time. We start game, we add the main menu. We get the game mode, set it as a variable, and we reset the level doors. When we reset the level doors, we get all actors of class, make that our level door array, and assign level doors to load. Now, adding the main menu comes with on load game and on new game. On load game, what we do is we set the actor transform to well, that seems entirely useless. We get the actor transform and then we set the actor to the place it's currently already at. Because that makes sense. Anyway. We also set the value of player to a value that we already have. Which again, doesn't make a lot of sense. We possess the player. That much we can do. We set our view target to the player. Input mode goes to gameplay only. Bind on death doesn't really matter for now. Remove the widget from the screen. We load the save file. And then once the level is loaded in, like we start loading in the level, but once that level is loaded in, we set player to save point and initialize the level stats. Nowhere in this entire thing does it load in the doors yet. So that's not the issue. Hey there, ArtDev. You're joining in a moment of pure insanity for me, so welcome to my hell. Hold on, this is start new game. So bind on level shown. For the why does it have two binds on level shown? It's also level doors. Oh, hold on. There's something different here to do with the level doors. So this is binding to the same thing. So maybe having it as two separate events here is fucking things up. That's ID number 1. That's ID number 1. But we also have this spawn player thing, which happens... when does that happen? Never? Maybe? Spawn player, let's see. Spawn. Player. That's this. Does this actually get called anywhere? Can we find references? I don't think this gets called anywhere. Like, if we remove this and we try to compile, is it going to yell at us? No. So, there's a whole bunch of shit here that's only here to confuse me. So let's just remove it. Is this a bad idea to remove like this? Maybe it is, but let's just actually read what it does first before I start removing it. It possesses the player. It sets view target with blend. It unbinds. It binds player death to spawn. Yeah, no, this is not relevant to literally anything we're doing. And if this breaks anything else, we'll worry about that later. So, we only have one thing that we're binding anymore. So, this is still on new game. So, when our initial level is shown, when it's done loading, what we will do is we will load level doors data, and that runs the reset level doors. And then we set the player to location start level, which is let's see, doors, checking door, found door, okay, that's the next thing that we can check, whether or not that is functioning properly. Action RPG game mode. That one gets set before anything else here, right? So we... yeah. Did I add this? Reset level doors? I think I just added this and I don't need this. Okay. So let's load game. There's a whole bunch of errors already, but that's okay. So it does do the checking door on begin play as well. That's good. Then when I go through this door, it gives a whole bunch of warnings. Then when I go through this door, it's... what does it do? What does it do? What does it do? It checks all of the doors of both levels, actually. That's interesting. And it finds one of them to be the matching one. Which I'm assuming that is the thing that is fucking up. Like, it's probably just not finding the matching door. I'm an idiot. Remember all that code that I just removed? Which wasn't being called anywhere? Yeah, that's because it was bound to a fucking delegate. That did do stuff. That did in fact do stuff. Well, at least we figured it out before I ended the stream, and got real confused just next time around. New game. We have one checking door. Why the fuck are you not doing it? Why the fuck aren't you doing anything there? That's a very good question. You should... I already have a... well, it's not a demo, it's a test build for test players. What even the fuck is going on here? I am so fucking confused right now. Oh, no, this is not good. It's really not good. On new game. We do start new game. We remove this thing from parents and we load the 01 starting room. Loading does all this, which I just need to clean up in order to debug, because I don't know what half this stuff points at. We add the loading screen, we added the viewport, we add a delay, and then we bind on level shown. Could that be the issue? Hold on, that might actually be the issue. Maybe we need to put this delay node somewhere else. Because we're delaying, then we're binding to on level shown, and only then are we starting to load it in. So it shouldn't actually matter. I don't even know why that delay is in there, to be honest with you. To make the delay or the loading screen last at least 0.2 seconds. That's why. Because otherwise, you get this. No. No, it still is long enough. Hell, that might have actually been the issue. It wasn't. Would have been nice. Oh. Yeah, no. I seem to have bound it to the wrong thing. Or I seem to have not been binding it at all. Instead, is what is going on here. So I've made more problems, but I've now fixed the more problems. No, I've not! The fuck is going on? Wait, what? Come on! Oh, that's why there's two nodes. For some fucking reason, a bind event node only can take in one event. That's fucking stupid. Why doesn't it just let you bind multiple events? I suppose one line of code also only lets you bind one event. Okay, so we can fucking spawn in again. It's a start. This is still an issue, though. It did find the door. Or is that... Just hold on. Can I show you? Can I show you real quick? Just put that to the side here. There we go. It checks the doors. It finds one of the doors. And it only finds the door if our door reference and our door reference for level to load is if we have a door reference and if our level to load on that door is the same value as our last level, which is the level that we came from. So it finds that door. But then... Okay, hold on. Set actor location. Sweeping is false. That will be a null pointer. Teleport type is reset physics. That's not the override that I'm looking for, actually. Can we take a look at all the overrides for this method, please? I was pretty sure that we had an override here that would set... bool did set is equal to log did set. This might just also be a good opportunity to rebuild this entire system in C++, to be honest. So if I'll load game, we will see our... Yeah, we don't have a nav mesh here, I know. Could you just shut the fuck up about that? we should see that we have found the door somewhere, and at some point we found door. Wait, it's not logging at all? Did set should... well, that's worrying. Oh, hold on. I scrolled back too far. I think. Maybe? No? Oh yeah, did set is true here. New game. Scroll down. Did set will probably end up being false. It didn't even run that. It didn't even run that. It didn't even run that. Which means it failed to get the reference to the scene components. Why do you use the teleport to function? Don't you use teleport to function to move the player instead? I don't think there is one. Is that... would that be on the player character itself? Teleport to. Oh, there is one. What is the difference? It has a destination location, rotation, true is test movement, shouldn't cause any notifications, use AI pathfinding for example, don't care. No check is true, we should skip checking for... I mean, it's nice that this also immediately sets the rotation, admittedly, but that's not really relevant for right now. But I wasn't even aware that that's a separate function. Setting the active location will do for now, but the issue is that it doesn't find this spawn location, because this code never runs, and we can be relatively certain that maybe it's actually the player that is not being found. That would also explain quite a lot. Log spawn location. Else player not found. Okay. Use it for respawning. It might actually be good for the respawning that I have, because I have an issue with my knockback, where if I die, I teleport to the last save point, but the knockback still applies. So actually, when the loading screen disappears, I'm actually like standing a couple of feet away from the last save point, which is kind of weird. So maybe teleport to would fix that. So that's interesting to take a look at some point in the future. Okay, this will player not found. Okay, it is the player reference that it's not finding. That's good to know. because that means that we're not setting the player at new game, and that is really easy to fix. So we start new game, and on level shown, we can do this in the spawn player event. Player, we simply get player character instead. So we just hook up that to there. Is there anything else that this is linking to? Yes. This one. And oh, we need to cast to PP third person character for that. Oh, that might actually be an issue. Hold on, no, that might actually be an issue because we're not possessing the thing yet, so we can't do that. We need to do this in a different way. That's the whole point of how I've got this set up. Is that we can't do it that way. Still, this is a worthless fucking node, but we'll take a look at that in a moment. Persistent level blueprints. Surely somewhere around here. Open level blueprints. It should set that value, but it doesn't seem to be doing that on new game. Because it's not running that event, probably. Surely that's what's happening here. So let's just on spawn player try to print a string just to see if it actually runs. It does. It does run that. So let's just move this thing along. After set player, which again is kind of a worthless node, so let's just get rid of it altogether because it might be somehow fucking me up. I don't know. Let's try to print the display name of player. Oh, hold on a moment. Set player. I might be... setting the wrong thing. This is in the game mode. I'm never setting the game mode value. That's the issue. Okay, hold on. We're getting somewhere. We're getting somewhere. Still, this note that was there doesn't make a lot of sense, so let's remove it. In the game mode, we need to also... Do we do that on load then? Because it doesn't seem like we do. I'm going to be real with you. Is that on load save maybe? No, that doesn't make a lot of sense either. Set Sayer to play save points. Oh, but at that point it's already possessed. So we use the on player character so we don't ever... Yeah, okay, that still doesn't make a lot of sense to me, but what we'll do is we'll get the... set the player... Wait, what the... It's been a while since I wrote this, can you tell? I'm just gonna do player. Just do this. I'm so fucking done with this code. If this fixes it, I don't care. I don't care that I have to like get and cast every single time I load a level. If this fixes my code, the actual fucked... How? How did that... How? Is it because I didn't like do this? Oh. Because I'm not possessing the player. Okay, no. Fair. It's not what I wanted to do. That is also going to still have an issue, right? Because I'm not setting the view targets properly. But we're slowly getting somewhere. I just need to set the view target as well to just the player. Okay. Moment of truth. I'm done. I don't care. I have no idea. Let's take a look. I can't even talk. Let's take a look at the log, which apparently I closed. That's weird. Can I still not find the player? Player not found. What the fuck do you mean player not found? Seriously though. Oh wait a second, this is choose player start implementation. That's just entirely the wrong function that I'm looking at. Hold the fuck on. Yeah, that's set player start location. What I need is what do I need? No, that should be those functions look a lot alike, but they are actually very different. Turns out. So we have this line of code, which will probably still save my life, hopefully. I'm just gonna put that in there instead. And you know what? We can actually simply put in a if we don't have a player value yet. Only then do the cast. That'll add an if statement every time we do this, but I didn't even care about the casting a moment ago, so I definitely don't care about the if statement, but it does save doing the dynamic cast needlessly if we already have a reference. Okay, now with that, this should now work. There's no reason for this to no longer work. And so it does. It's fucking fixed. So remember when I said we were going to do a new game playthrough on stream here? Yeah, no, we're not doing that anymore. This has been it for today. We fixed a bug that I didn't know existed though, which is very, very good. Because obviously fixing bugs is a good thing. Sooner or later I would have run into that. So we still made good use of our time. But for now, I think I've been at this for about 3 hours. It works again. I'm going to, none of this potentially works. I'm not entirely sure yet. What I'm going to do is, after I finish streaming in a moment here, I'm going to package the game and I'm going to patch the itch.io link, which is in the description of this stream, I believe. So give it about 30 minutes at least. before you try to download it if you want to download the updated version. Cycling through the weapons is done with Q and E on the keyboard, and if you're playing on a gamepad, it's the left and right triggers is how you cycle through the weapons. And everything should work now. I think the cutscene that brings you from the tutorial into the main dungeon is still broken, so you're not going to be able to get through more than the tutorial. I need to look into that at some point, but for right now, it doesn't matter because you don't need to test that stuff yet. So if you want to play around with the new scythe, the animations, and the abilities that we made today, it's mostly the animations. The ability itself, all the code already existed. That will be possible in give or take 30 or so minutes, depending on how quick itch IO patches in the new stuff. I'll be back on Monday, probably doing the actual programming for the special attack and a little bit of an animation for that special attack for the scythe, so that the scythe is actually finished up. And maybe we'll also do a custom attack up and attack down animation, but I'm going to be real with you, I'm probably just going to reuse those animations for every single weapon, because I just do not care. And then we'll be well on our way to finishing this second dungeon, and then we actually need to get started on that goddamn boss fight, which I'm not looking forward to, but at some point we'll have to. So, see you later.